In West Africa, where the heat rolls across the dry plains like a silent wave and the sky stares down unblinking, a quiet struggle is taking place, one that barely makes headlines but affects millions of lives every single day. Burkina Faso, a landlocked country bordered by Mali, Niger, and Ghana, is facing a challenge as old as civilization itself: the slow death of its farmland. Generations of farmers have tilled these soils, sowing seeds, harvesting crops, and feeding their families through tradition and hard work. But now, the ground beneath their feet is crumbling, not from war or neglect, but from an invisible and creeping force: climate change, land degradation, and desertification. What was once dependable farmland is now dry, cracked earth. The rains don't come like they used to. The seasons are no longer predictable. Entire villages are experiencing hunger during months that were once times of harvest. Rivers are drying, wells are going deeper, and the young are leaving, choosing the city over the fields, or worse, embarking on dangerous migration journeys in search of better lives. In Burkina Faso, more than 80% of the population depends on agriculture. So when the land suffers, everyone suffers. The food system, the economy, the social fabric, it all starts breaking apart. But in the midst of this vast and painful decline, one man has stepped forward with a vision, a green vision. His name is Ibrahim Traoré. He is not a scientist or a political leader. He is a farmer, a humble, determined man of the soil who chose not to accept the narrative that his land was finished. He refused to believe that Burkina Faso's future must be dry, lifeless, and dependent on outside aid. And so, using a mix of ancient wisdom and modern ecological practices, he began a quiet revolution, one farm at a time. Ibrahim Traoré's journey didn't begin with hope. It began with loss. Years ago, his own farm failed catastrophically. Crops withered under an unforgiving sun. The rains came too late, or not at all. The little income he had disappeared. His children went hungry. Like so many others, he stood at the crossroads: give up, move to the city, try to find work, or stay and fight. He chose to stay, not out of arrogance, but out of love for the land, for his people, and for what he knew deep down: that the earth was not dead, only sleeping, and it could be awakened. His first step was not to buy expensive tools or look to outsiders for help. Instead, he turned to traditional knowledge, techniques passed down through generations, long before chemical fertilizers or machinery. One of these was the Zai method, an indigenous farming technique used in Burkina Faso centuries ago. It involves digging small holes into hardened soil during the dry season, placing organic matter into each one: compost, manure, ashes, plant residue, and waiting for the rains. These holes collect water and channel it directly to the roots of crops. They also help enrich the surrounding soil, slowly restoring fertility in the most barren land. Traoré began digging Zai holes, hundreds of them, each one by hand. Day after day, under the brutal sun, he dug. He gathered compost from nearby animals. He reused kitchen waste. He mulched. He planted millet, beans, sorghum, and he waited. When the rains came, they stayed longer in the holes. The crops sprouted. The soil softened. Life returned to a place everyone thought was dead. But he didn't stop there. Traoré also embraced agroforestry, the practice of integrating trees into crop fields. He planted fast-growing trees that provided shade, retained moisture, and improved the soil. These trees broke the wind, reduced erosion, and even brought back birds and small animals that had vanished from the area. He began rotating crops, planting legumes to fix nitrogen in the soil, using natural insect repellents like neem, and managing livestock waste to produce more compost. It was sustainable, affordable, and deeply rooted in nature's cycles. People laughed at first. They said, "You cannot grow anything here. You're wasting your time." But slowly, his neighbors began to notice the difference. In a year or two, where once there was dust, now stood tall stalks of grain. Fruit trees bore food. The ground stayed cooler, darker, and alive. Curious farmers came to visit. They asked questions. They returned with new hope. Traoré, always generous, began teaching what he had learned. He didn't charge money. He didn't seek fame. He only wanted others to heal their land too. Soon, his green vision began to spread. Not through social media or billboards, but through word of mouth. One village talked to another. Farmers taught their neighbors. Women groups began composting together. Children planted trees in schoolyards. Over time, entire communities began to change. They dug pits together. They collected organic waste. They shared seeds and helped one another. It wasn't just about farming anymore. It was about rebuilding dignity and self-sufficiency. The impact has now grown beyond anyone's expectations. In regions where his methods have been adopted, satellite images show clear patches of green in otherwise brown and dry landscapes. International environmental researchers have visited to study the results. They've confirmed what locals already know. Traoré's techniques work. They're low-tech, low-cost, but high impact. They offer a model of farming that's deeply resilient to climate change. In fact, his methods are now being considered as part of broader strategies to fight desertification across the entire Sahel region, from Senegal in the west to Sudan in the east. But Traoré's success has not come without challenges. Burkina Faso is a country facing many issues, not just climate, but also poverty, political instability, and security threats. Some rural areas have been affected by violence, making farming unsafe. There are still many farmers who are skeptical or too poor to try new methods without support. Government policies often focus on industrial agriculture or short-term yields, not long-term regeneration. And while international aid can help, yet Traoré presses on. He continues to farm, teach, and lead by example. He has trained hundreds of farmers personally. He works with schools to create eco-clubs. He visits remote areas, sometimes at his own cost, to help people revive their land. His dream is not to become famous, but to see green across the whole of Burkina Faso. For him, every seed planted is an act of hope. Every tree is a legacy. Every restored field is proof that no land is beyond saving. The power of Traoré's green vision lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require expensive tools, massive loans, or high-tech machines. It uses compost instead of chemicals, and cooperation instead of competition. It's not just a technique, it's a philosophy, a belief that the earth will respond to care and patience, that communities can feed themselves with dignity, that solutions can come from within, not just from outside. The question remains, can this vision be scaled up fast enough to save the entire country? The answer is, only if others join in. Traoré has shown the way. Now it is up to local governments, NGOs, global partners, and especially other farmers to carry it forward. Training centers could be built. Community seed banks could be funded. Youth could be empowered with jobs in land restoration. Policies could shift toward regenerative agriculture. Media, schools, and leaders could help spread the word. If Burkina Faso embraces this vision at scale, it could transform not just its environment, but its future. It could become a global symbol of resilience. A country once known for desertification could become a leader in green restoration. A place where children no longer migrate out of necessity, but stay out of pride. A land where farmers no longer feel forgotten, but empowered. Traoré's work reminds us all of something powerful, that real change doesn't always come from the top. It often begins in quiet corners of the world with people no one is watching. A man with a shovel and a dream. A seed in the dirt. A vision of green where there was once only dust. If you found this story meaningful, share it. Let more people know that solutions to the world's toughest problems are already growing in the soil. If you're in a position to support regenerative agriculture, do it. And most importantly, believe that healing is possible, because sometimes all it takes is one determined farmer to change everything. If we happen to miss any important details, or if there's something you would like to add, please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Your feedback is valuable, and we would love to hear your opinions, suggestions, or any additional insights you may have. Let us know what you think.